Sorry, I'm checking in a little late today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in as always. Okay, I really appreciate it. This is my last week of quarantine. I'm cleared to rejoin society, so I'm super excited about it. So for those guys who joined me during the regular quarantine, thank you guys so much for tuning in again. And for those guys who are my students at Gracie Charlottesville, welcome back to the basement. Our classes will resume next week, so I'm super excited to see you guys all again. Today I'm going to be showing you guys some like solo drills that you can do kind of on your own to help you with like the crossbody position. So when I was a purple belt for a whole year, I asked every black belt that I met how to escape crossbody. And so these are drills that I've been working on since purple belt, essentially, to kind of help me with the crossbody position. So I'm going to show you guys a bunch of different drills that I've been working on to kind of help me with the escaping the crossbody position. And if you guys have any questions, please write them in the comment section as always, to kind of, help you out. So I'll show you kind of what I work on to help me with this position, because I personally think that crossbody is the hardest position to escape from. So let's go ahead and get started. So we're just going to go ahead and warm up with some hip bridges. So we're going to lie down on the ground with a mat. So a hip bridge is essentially a big couple of things you want to look for is we want to make sure that our knees always track our feet, making sure that we're using our legs to bridge our hips up as high as possible. So go ahead and lie down. We're going to bridge our hips up as high as possible and then back down again. So up as high as you can and then back down, making sure that we're using our legs and not our lower back. So up, back down, up, back down. Okay, just kind of warming up. Okay, now we're going to move into an upa. I'm bridging side to side. So I'm going to move my head off of center line, bridging between the space between my head and my shoulder. I'm going to bridge up like I'm making my neck touch the mat. And then back down. Move my head, bridge up as high as I can, and then back down. Okay, so this is our normal upa. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and move into some strips. So we're going to get our feet really close to us. Hips up. Want to get to the side of my shoulder. Moving my hips off center line. 1, 2. Up. Off center line. 1, 2. Okay. Sure, so everyone can see me. So hips up. Shrimp. 2. Shrimp. 1, 2. Okay. That's both feet shrimps. Now, outside leg shrimp. So outside leg shrimp, we're one leg up, one leg down. I want to imagine like I'm pushing off the ground. So this foot turns sideways. Take over arm frame. Shrimp. Other leg comes up, other leg down. Shrimp. See? One leg up, one leg down. I'm really going to push off of the ground here. Get my foot sideways, so I'm elevating, so this knee is pointed up. I'm not turning like this. Make sure I have good drive from the ground. Shrimp away. One leg up, one leg down. Shrimp away. Okay, so that's outside leg. Now we're going to do inside leg. So what we're going to do is our toes are going to be in the mat. Get to the side of our shoulder. Use our inside foot. Shrimp high. Toes to the mat. Shrimp high. So big thing is what we're looking for the shrimping high. So I have one leg up, one leg down. Get to my toes. Now I'm going to push with my foot on the floor. Push my hips up as high as I can. Using the inside foot, which is this bottom leg. Toes to the mat. Shrimp up nice and high. And then back. Okay. So those are our three types of shrimps. So we have our regular upa, our hip bridge. Okay. And then use our outside leg and then our inside leg. So these are all of our basics, kind of our strips. Now we're going to start combining some movements. So the reason why crossbody is so difficult to escape from is because you're receiving 100% of the weight on like your chest, which is your pressure. So your only goal in crossbody is essentially to get sideways. That's it. There's no other goal. Once you get sideways, you can do any escape that you want, whether that's regaining the guard, turning, like go to the back, essentially, or getting to your knees, depending on how the person is holding crossbody. So I'm going to show you guys a bunch of different ways to kind of work on getting sideways, essentially, and then what escapes you get to do from there. So the escape that gives most people difficulty is crossbody escape turning on the knees because of the ability to having trouble kind of threading the needle and getting sideways. So we're going to talk about like a lot of different ways or drills that we can do to essentially kind of work on that. So we're going to start with our number one priority, which is making sure we have frames. So when someone is like kind of gluing our arm towards our head in crossbody, it's very difficult to escape. So we're going to talk about how do we get this arm back. Okay, so we're going to do essentially a very specific type of teeter-totter where we're using or throwing our legs to create momentum and riding that momentum to help us get to our side. So if this is my frame arm, and this is the arm I have to worry about. So say my arm is out and I don't have a frame, so I'm pulling crossbody with me. So I have to get this arm back to pull my elbow back inside. So it's very difficult to just pull your elbow back inside, especially when the person's on top of you. So instead, I'm going to create momentum by using my legs to create torque. So I throw my legs to one side. This is the arm I want to get back. Now I throw them to the other side, and I pull my elbow back down. This is going to give me the ability to pull my elbow back inside to create a frame. So from another angle, if I want to go ahead and pull this arm back down, it's very difficult to just pull it. So instead, I'm going to use my legs to one side, throw them to the other to create momentum to pull my elbow back down. Once I pull my elbow back down, I can start making a frame. So my frame is going to be elbow in the hip. I'm pointing towards the ceiling, especially if I'm holding crossbody, I'm going to hide this arm. Now my next, so once I get my frame back, okay, my next priority is to get sideways. I don't get sideways by pushing up. That is very difficult. So instead, what I'm going to do is move myself away. So I have to make connection. So this is my first frame. My second frame is my far side shoulder. So one leg up, one leg down. I throw my post out. So I'm going to imagine I'm getting ready to do like a Turkish get up and engage my pelvic floor, push off the ground, make the initial connection. So this is my shoulder. Now I use my inside foot to move my hips, then pull my bottom shoulder under. I'm pulling my shoulder under, not my elbow. Hips, shoulder. So once my shoulder basically comes underneath this shoulder, now I'm completely sideways. Okay, my hips have gone vertical. This is the goal. Once I'm sideways, I can do any escape I want. Okay, so one more time. I'm gonna get this frame back first. So I throw my legs to the side, pull my elbow under. Post, making sure I'm really pushing off the ground, making this initial connection with this far side shoulder. Now inside leg, I'm gonna move my hips and pull the shoulder under. Notice I'm pulling my shoulder, my thumb is up here, I'm pulling the shoulder back, not pulling the elbow under. So shoulder, hips, shoulders. So once I get my shoulders under, I create a ramp here. Now I'm sideways. So I'm going to show from another angle. So I'm throwing my legs over. Get my frames. Okay? I post. So the post is pushing into the person. Use the inside foot. Hips, shoulders, hips, shoulders. See how this shoulder is longer than this shoulder? This arm is longer than the other one. That's what I'm looking for. Now I know I've gone sideways enough. Okay? So that is like my favorite solo drill to practice. I used to practice like hips, shoulders, hips, shoulders, hips, shoulders. I would just do that up the mat when I was a purple belt because that would always be the thing that gave me the most trouble when I was first starting out. Okay? Okay. Why am I so awesome? I don't know. Just it comes natural. I'm just kidding. Thank you guys. So that's what I'm looking for first. Just like hips, shoulders, hips, shoulders. Like how do I get to the side of my shoulder? Once I get to the side of my shoulder, depending on where the person's arms are, dictates my escape. So we're going to talk about how to turn on our knees properly or how to thread the needle. And I'll show you guys how different ways to practice that and then how we do this a proper escape. So a couple ways to practice threading the needle. You can do it from the upa, or upa to one side, high as I can. So this is the needle, this is the thread. I go all the way through. When I go belly down, I want to go as wide as I can. So once I go wide as I can with this leg, my hips turn over completely. When my hips turn over completely, the person can't stop me. Now I'm going to take my arms, I'm going to pull them underneath me. Now I can get to my knees. Okay, so other side. Go as high as I can. Now this is the needle, I go underneath, go as wide as I can. The wider I can go, the better. So this leg is really far, it turns my hips over completely. I'm going to take my arms, I pull them underneath me, and then get to my knees. Okay? One more time. I open as high as I can. Go underneath. I want to go underneath, go wide. Tuck my arms underneath me. Get to my knees. Okay. That's our upa to our thread the needle drill. Okay. Another way to practice threading the needle is to do it from a shrimp. So we're going to shrimp twice. 1, 2. Completely sideways. Okay. Step back. Go through, thread the needle. Now once I thread the needle, I'm going to take my arms. I'll leave them out here. This is a big mistake that everyone makes because once someone's on top of you with all their weight, it's very hard to get up. So I'm going to pull my arms underneath me. Then I get to my knees. Then I windshield wiper my feet. Sit back and then you can do it again. So again, other side. Shim twice. 1, 2, step back. I'm going to go thread underneath. I go belly down. Pull the arms underneath me. Get back to my knees. Okay, so we can thread the needle in the UPA or show series just to work on threading the needle. So let's talk about how this kind of works with crossbody escape turn the knees. And typically we get to our knees because the person is blocking my hip, so I can't put the person back in the guard. So this is actually the escape that gives most people trouble. So I'm going to explain how to break this down. So we're here. We have to get our frame back, remember? So we're going to throw our legs. Pull the arm under. Sit back. Make the initial connection. Inside leg. Hips, shoulders, hips, shoulders. Now once I'm here and I've created a ramp here, then I can even rest my arm, my head on my arm so I don't get choked. Now I'm going to thread the needle to turn over all the way. Once I turn over all the way, I can't get up here. So I'm going to take my arms and pull them underneath me. Now, depending on what the person does or where the person's weight is dictates how I get up. If all their weight's on my back, I just get to my knees. If the person pushes into me, push back. Now, this is the most difficult part. I'm on my all fours. It's really hard. I don't want the person to take my back. So I'm just going to sit to guard. Now, instead of sitting underneath the person, which is very dangerous, it's going to fold my spine. Instead, I'm just going to sit back, keeping my spine straight. So I'm going to drive my head to one side. The opposite leg comes up. Now I'm going to windshield wiper this foot. Keep my head extended. Now all I'm going to do is not sit underneath, because if I sit underneath the person, I fold my spine. My spine is in flexion. I want to keep my spine in extension. So once I get my knee here, I'm going to windshield wiper my foot. My spine is extended. I'm going to sit straight back. That keeps my spine in extension, so I don't have to worry about my neck getting hurt or my ribs getting compressed. So in the very beginning, doing what I would say is my favorite crossbody escape, because this is my favorite crossbody escape. So I'm going to throw my legs from one side to the other, get my frames back. So once my frame's back, I make my post, engage the far side shoulder, use my inside foot, hips, shoulders, hips, shoulders. Now I'm going to thread the needle. I have to apologize, I don't have a ton of space here. Take my arms, pull them underneath me. Get to my knees. Drive my head to one side, post, windshield wiper the foot, sit straight back. Now I'm in the guard position. Okay, once I sit to guard, now I'm out of crossbody. And that is my personal favorite crossbody escape and all the different kind of solo drills I like to do from there. So there's lots of other ways to kind of practice on your own. But I really personally like all those solo drills, getting better at crossbody. The biggest thing is that you can't move the person off of you. That's the hardest thing. It's impossible to move someone who's just sitting on your chest like that. But what it is easy to do is frame and move yourself away. Even if you're only moving yourself away in small increments, as long as you're making progress and not regressing in the position, you're doing well. So that's how I would articulate it. So that's why it's really important to move your body well in space without someone on top of you. Because if you can't move your body well in space without someone on top of you, it's going to be very difficult to move someone who's on top of you. Hopefully that makes sense to everyone. So now would be a great time, since we're about 15 minutes in, give or take, to ask questions. These are any jiu-jitsu questions, let alone just crossbody questions or solo drill questions. This is a good time to ask me. So these are kind of all the solo drills I do to get better at crossbody. The biggest one, of course, being just getting to the side of our hip and shoulders. So just going here, hips, shoulders, hips, shoulders. Like that drill alone is probably the most valuable drill I ever learned for escaping crossbody. So if you could just do that one will make all of your crossbody escapes better. So now is a great time to ask me any questions that anyone has about crossbody. No? Well, if there are no questions, I just want to say thank you to everyone, as always, for tuning in. Tomorrow at 6:30, I'll be doing a Muay Thai class. kind of reviewing some different kind of ways to shadow box at home, all that good stuff. For those guys who are a patron on Patreon, I really appreciate your support. Any sort of support or pledge you can give me really helps me out a lot. Continue to put out videos. I want to thank you guys all online for supporting me for so long. I'm super close to 1,000 subscribers, so make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the video. And for those guys who are members at Gracie Charlottesville, thank you guys for your continued support. I am healthy. I've gotten cleared to rejoin society, and I'm so happy to be back on the mat soon. So thank you guys so much for tuning in as always. And remember, drillers make killers.